The videos you're about to watch were made before the COVID-19 crisis, but now they feel more relevant than ever. One lesson we're learning is that change is here. Going back to normal is not acceptable, because normal is what was wrong all along. It is up to us, together, to fight for the future we want and need. Stand together and look after each other. This is a series of short films that explore the connection between the food we eat and the climate crisis, the destruction of forests and other ecosystems across the world. This is where we begin. There's a powerful and undemocratic element that connects everything that is happening. Whether you want it or not, this element is in our tables, in the choices that we are confronted with in the supermarket, in the governments, in national and international treaties. This element is the current broken system of commodities. The economic flow of the most common raw ingredients that make up everything in our world. It's a system that is completely, absolutely out of control. Next time you have a meal, take a good look at your plate. Do you know where that food comes from? Where it was grown? What went into growing it? And maybe, most importantly, do you know how it affects our health and the health of our planet? Agricultural production accounts for 80% of all deforestation across the globe. Land that we all need to suck greenhouse gases out of the air. And we're not just talking about forests here. Grasslands, wetlands, and other ecosystems are quickly being turned into massive fields and industrial farms, no longer able to take CO2 out of the atmosphere, and instead, producing it. So, here's how it works. Take meat, for example. You have to clear land to raise those animals. Lots of land. We've got 500 million cows on the planet. More than the human population of Russia and the United States combined. 23 billion chickens. Wait, let me repeat. 23 billion chickens. 3 chickens per person on Earth. Then you have to clear even more land to grow the food to feed those cows and chickens. And that's just the cows and chickens. In fact, it takes more land to grow food to feed the animals than to feed humans. Industrial agriculture is now so big that its greenhouse gas emissions are the same as all cars, trains, ships, buses, and planes combined. And even though we've got other food options, better farming techniques, indigenous people's knowledge about how to care for these lands, this sector is so powerful that the industrial food system continues to grow, and its carbon bomb ticking louder and louder. So, what the hell is going on? Really? What the hell? Let me explain. This is a soybean. You eat it, right? Well, sometimes. But it's mostly grown to feed chickens, pigs, and cows. The soybean is also a commodity, like natural gas, silver, paper, or palm oil. Its value is traded on the global stock exchange. It moves through markets in Tokyo, São Paulo, Brussels, and New York. Before it even ripens on the vine, financial gambling and bets are placed on the soybean, all trying to predict its chances of getting to a market and eventually your table at the lowest possible costs. To keep it simple, this system is not growing food, it's growing profits. But it hasn't always been this way. You see, once upon a time, all food was organic. All food was local. And back then, we used to call this, well, we called it food. We never used to have stickers to identify the tiny amount of food that isn't grown with poison, or that isn't made with low-wage labor, and that isn't made without destroying every other living thing around it in order to turn a profit. But now, almost everything is made like this. Food made the traditional, organic way has been repackaged as a luxury, while food tainted with pesticides, deforestation, and stolen indigenous land is the default. So how did we go from sustainable food system to a world full of $1 burgers, tasty carcinogens, and 3 times more chickens on the planet than people? Well, the big reason is that we didn't choose this at all. At the root of all this process is an economy and political process that favors mega businesses and unsustainable farming practices. And it's all part of a larger idea that with cheap food, we're saving money that we can use to buy something else. Over the course of the past 100 years, small and local producers have been pushed out of the food game by vast global agribusiness like, that's why today it's more profitable to sell you a breakfast that is grown using herbicides, pesticides, and a large dose of deforestation than it is to sell you a breakfast without these things. The same goes for those 500 million cows. They're big business. And big business means more profit for the wealthiest companies and more carbon in the atmosphere. More heat, more forest fires, and more typhoons for the rest of us. That's f***ed up. The legacy this leaves to the world is devastated forests across the globe, including the Amazon. And we don't get a say into how they do business. Because if we did, things would look a lot different, right? Who here is in favor of burning the Amazon forest down just to make a few billionaires even richer? Who here is in favor of pushing small-scale farmers out of business and their families into poverty? And here's the thing. It's not like big agriculture is unaware that the majority of people on Earth want something different. That's why they spend billions of dollars on ads showing happy cows and protected green spaces and happy local workers they claim to be empowering. And all the while, supporting policies and governments that do the opposite. It is time to call it like it is. They don't care. And we have proof that they really don't care. 10 years ago, many of these brands promised to stop buying from suppliers who were destroying forests. Oh, and they also promised to reforest the forest we lost. And guess what? 10 years are up now, and almost nothing has been done. Today, every 5 seconds, an area the size of a soccer field is destroyed to make way for food commodities. This in a world where 1.3 billion tons of food is thrown away every year. 26% of all land on Earth is used for grazing or growing animal feed. And as of today, we see no sign of this slowing it down. We don't need more junk food. We need to do food differently and better. So here's where we have a choice to make. A big one. We can either protect forests and our planet, or we can allow commodity production to continue increasing and face the consequences. We cannot have both. So that's our food world. A global platter of soy-fattened animals, land dispossession, and a shitload of carbon in the atmosphere that will eventually cook us. Thanks for watching. In the next video, we'll dive deep into the murky world of commodities, how these big companies are destroying the future of the planet.